And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
When I found out that Cyclades was made by the same people who made Giant, I was very excited. It's from Asmodee, but the same design group pulled this together. Fantastic, fantastic components. I mean, when each shield has a complete painting on it, basically, that's different than everyone else. When the soldiers have different models, even though there really isn't any other distinction between them. But color and model, fantastic. The idea of using great giant mythological creatures with plastic figurines to attack each other, marvelous. Now, what kind of game is it? Is it a war game or a Euro game? Well, it's in that distinct group called hybrids. It has a bit of war, has a bit of Euro game bidding in it, and it works well. It's not very long, it's very involving, and it has a very quick, poignant resolution. And along the way, you can really just beat on each other the entire time. Certainly make each other's lives miserable, both by out-auctioning someone else, ooh, there you go, Eurogamers, and by beating them, rolling dice. Yes, Wargamers, we're all happy. So here's the board made up of islands. Oh, this is the 2-player and the 3-player board. We can flip this over here to get the 4-player board, or this marvelous structure for the 5-player board. And there you go. There's a very specific setup in the book where each player controls an island, different groups of islands. And for example, if I put a man there, he's on that whole island, not just on the one circle. Or a ship can control different regions. And so that's basically all you have are ships and men. You even have these little tokens to leave on islands that you might control but have left no one on, which is really dumb because that means they will be captured. And so that's basically how the game is set up, but how is it played? The very first thing we do on a turn is we update the mythological creatures, and you can see this would be at a point during the game where there's 3 different mythological creatures that are available for purchase. Woo-hoo-hoo! And then we move over here, and then each person gets gold coins equal to the number of cornucopias that you can see. So this island here is worth 1 cornucopia for owning that one, while over here this little weenie island is worth 2. So that might be one certainly worth controlling. And you get coins equal to the number that you have, and they went to the trouble to make these coins not round, which is really cool. Anyway, you get those coins, and then it's time to bid. Each round of the game, there's up to 4 gods will be available for people to try to win their favor. This is only in a 5-player game where all 5 are available. In a 4-player game, there's only 3, and then in a 3 or 2-player game, there's only 2. But let's just pretend it's a 5-player game. During the course of a game, a player is going to bid on which one of these he wants to use. So he picks which one, and he puts his marker, which looks like a little pillar, on the one that he's bidding. And let's say there he bids 3. So if he wins this, he will have to pay 3 coins for Athena. If someone else outbids you, though, let's say this guy puts it on the 5, I must bid somewhere else, and I cannot go back on the same one. The only way to get back on the same one would be to bid somewhere else, have someone outbid you there, then you can go back to the same one. This is very similar to the bidding systems used in other games like Amun-Re and Vegas Showdown. And so players are taking their bids and bidding, and once everyone has bid, if, for example, let's say you don't want to bid, usually someone's going to be cut out, because you see there's 4 gods in the 5-player game, so at least one person will have to pass and go down here to Apollo and place their gentleman down here. But everybody else gets to get the favor of their god, and starting with this person at the top, whoever wins that one will take their actions, and going thus and down to the bottom. Each person gets actions depending upon the favor of the god that they have chosen. So let's talk about what each one of these does. Here's Poseidon. Yay! He gives you a ship. Marvelous. This is how you build up your fleet. And then you can pay gold coins to get more ships. For example, if I wanted 3 ships, I take my free one, and then take 2 more. The first one costs a coin, the second one costs 2 coins. So for 3 coins, I can get 3 ships. For 6 coins, I can get 3 ships. I can also pay a coin to move a ship 3 spots. And Poseidon also lets me pay 2 coins to build a dock, which I can place on one of my islands as long as there's a place to put it. Briefly looking at islands, all islands have places to put buildings. Some of them have more places than others. See, this one only has a place to put 1, but the bigger islands this one has a place to put all 4 buildings onto it. Different buildings give different benefits. The dock or the port there gives a +1 to sea battles that take place adjacent to that island. So that's Poseidon. Then we look at Ares. Oh, god of war. Here you get a free soldier. You can pay more money to get more soldiers. And he lets you attack another island. How do you attack another island? Well, as long as you have a ship or a line of ships between your island and the island you're attacking. So if I have 2 troops here, they can move through this ship and attack this island. If they wanted to attack an island that was farther away, I would need to have a line of ships to that island. So now they simply move over and go attack that island. And he allows you to build a fortress building, which gives you a +1 defensive bonus in battles that attack that island. Now let's look at Zeus. Oh, Zeus. For Zeus, you get a free priest. Now, priests are represented by cards. And each priests are great because what they do is in future rounds, they reduce the amount you pay for bidding on these. So if I have 4 priests and I said I was going to pay 5 here, I only need to pay 1. So they're very powerful for that. Poseidon also allows you to build a temple, which reduces the cost of mythological creatures. And then finally there's Athena. Athena gives you a philosopher. What use is a philosopher? Nothing. However, 4 philosophers are very, very useful. And we'll mention that in just a second. Hey, guess what? A second's up. Basically what we're trying to do in the course of this game is you're trying to build 2 metropolises. You do that, you win the game. There's 2 ways or 3 ways to get a metropolis. Each metropolis has to go in a certain area. See the dotted lines there? That's where a metropolis would go. To build a metropolis, you can either discard one of each type of the 4 different buildings. Alright? Or you can discard 4 philosophers. Told you they come in handy. And you get a metropolis. And the third way to get a metropolis is to go conquer someone's island who already built one. Hey, why should I go to that work when you can do it for me? That's basically the gist of the game. But I should mention up here that there are mythological creatures and that you can pay for them on your turn for the price underneath them. And you can get discounts on them if you use... for each temple that you've built using Zeus, you'll get discounts on buying these creatures. Each creature is completely different. Some of them give you a one-time action, like here, the Pegasus. You can use him briefly to fly all your troops from one island to another island to attack. While other creatures, you might get a plastic figure that comes on the board for a turn, and he can attack. My favorite one, of course, is the Kraken. Not because we want to just shout release the Kraken, although frankly that's a major part of it, but because it's a really cool model. People who like the paint models are going to love this. I mean, look at this guy. You can see the ship sailing into his mouth. How awesome is that? And so you can use these mythological creatures really to turn the tide for you winning a specific battle that you need to win. Oh, I forgot about Apollo there at the bottom. Why would anyone want to go there? Well, I mean, you have to go there if you've been outbid everywhere else. But the person who chooses him gets 1 gold point if he has at least 1 island on the board. And if he only has 1 island, he gets 4 gold pieces. Great! And even better than that, the first person to go to Apollo, sometimes more than 1 person will go there, the first person to get Apollo gets to take one of these cornucopias and place it on an island, therefore doubling the output of that island, also making it more valuable and making it a bigger target for enemy armies. This continues until someone gets 2 metropolises, at which point they win the game. I've already raved about how cool the components are. I really, really enjoy the theme and how everything fits together. The mythological creatures feel great. I mean, at first you think, oh, I got this really powerful figure, and then you find out that it's not overly powered. You use it for a turn and then it's gone. But that's the way it should be. These creatures are not going to bow before your whim. They might show up and help you out briefly. The battles aren't very difficult or complicated. You use special dice that have 0, 1, 2, and 3 on them. You use that to add it to your armies as you attack someone else. I mean, battle is actually very simple. There's no new innovative battle mechanic here, but I think that's probably just as well. You can capture an island to hold on to. It's difficult. Someone else is going to come in and try and take it from you. There's much interaction. There's many islands on the board, but there certainly isn't enough for everybody to get what they want. The bidding is where a good portion of the game takes place, but that bidding is important because you need to increase your armies, and if someone else is increasing their armies, you can maybe beat them by simply amassing a lot of money, outbidding them, and not giving them room to maneuver and attack with their armies. I'm very, very impressed with this game. It looks complex, but it really is very simple. The only negative thing I would say is on the back of the shield is all the different things that you can do, and it's all in symbols, and it's all small. So I'm looking at it going, I know they did that for language independence, so that any country, any culture could use the back of this, but we just ignore it because it's very difficult. And even still, while the mythological creatures, the symbols usually make sense, we usually have to look them up. But fortunately, there's just a little 2-page book that tells you what all the creatures do. Excellent game. Very, very impressed with this one. I like to see how it turns out, how the rest of the games from this company turn out. But this one I think will be quite often played throughout the coming years.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.